I have to talk to you today about a really, really funny piece of stock market news. And that, of course, has to do with the shoe company, Allbirds. Allbirds is a boutique San Francisco-based wool, among others, shoe company. At one point, while I was a young Silicon Valley employee, I owned a pair of Allbirds shoes. I bought them because somebody told me you can throw them in the washer and dryer to clean them, and it's so easy. And I was like, holy shit. And then I never did that because I never have that issue with any shoe. That was such an unnecessary feature, but it sounded so cool to me. I don't know why that mattered, but when I bought it, I was like, holy, you're right. I have to buy that. So anyway, today, in a truly baffling series of events, Allbirds stock of this shoe company, rose 582% because they are rebranding from Allbirds to Bird AI. Shoe company Allbirds pivots to AI compute in a sign of totally normal and healthy economy. I'm sorry. It's New Bird AI. I'm sorry, I forgot their branding. It's New Bird AI. Wow, that is awesome. Let me give you a little context here. This is the stock price jump today, 446%. It's even up further than that now. However, I'd like you to zoom out a bit when you think of numbers like this. This is like, holy shit, what the fuck? And then for context, see if you can find this spike on the zoomed out graph. This is the full story of the Allbirds shoe company, which may indicate why they are willing to take such insane pivots. And I'll give you a little bit of context. So 2020 is when it got listed, and it peaked right here at $4 billion in market cap. Massively successful direct-to-consumer shoe company right out the gate. It was buzzy. It was hot. Again, back in 2020, it was these eco-friendly sneakers may be the comfiest shoes you'll ever own. The reviews were glowing. They were sustainable. They were eco-friendly. Barack Obama was wearing them. There is multiple videos of Barack Obama talking about and glazing his Allbirds unpaid. Barack Obama keeps wearing Silicon Valley's favorite shoes. This is a real GQ article from 2021. And the CEO was going on press tours, talking about how he changed the paradigm of business. This interview, I'm not gonna play it now, but you can watch it, is truly monstrous in hindsight. He says things like, brands do have to stand for something more than just making money. And if they don't, there's no real way they're gonna thrive and survive on the global stage. Again, this is when he said that. He talks about how important their values are, how they wear their values on their sleeve and they'll never change them. Anyway, you flash forward just a year or two, 23, 24, the revenue numbers start coming in and they're not good. It's starting to seem like maybe their first wool shoe was the only real hit, and everything afterwards sells worse and worse and worse. Uh-oh. Revenue keeps falling. At this point, it's now been a few years of the company and they haven't made a profit once. So we flash forward again, 2025, last year. People start asking, can Allbirds get its groove back? Things are looking pretty bad. So the CEO goes, hey, to fix this, we're gonna go back to our roots, okay? We're gonna focus on quality. We're gonna make great shoes. We're gonna have a good in-store experience. Flash forward a few months, they say, we're gonna streamline operations to support profitable growth. That is CEO code for, we're going to lay off everybody and we're closing all of our stores. They streamlined it, okay? So I'm sure the values are still being held. So they closed all the stores, all the physical Allbirds stores like the one seen here. They fired most of the people and they went to purely online, purely niche product. At that point, with basically nothing else left to do, they sold not the whole company. They sold every one of the company's assets. That's all of the shoe designs, all the warehouses, all the products, any remaining design staff. Basically everything the company had was sold for $39 million, despite once being valued at $4 billion. From $4 billion down to $39 million in like 4 years. A complete and total collapse. That was the interesting question though, because if you were an owner of Allbirds stock, well, wait a minute, what's left? I still own a piece of this company, Allbirds, but they just sold everything they have for $39 million. There's nothing left. It's still a publicly listed company, but it doesn't make any shoes. It doesn't have any employees. It doesn't do anything. It's just a stock ticker. So what would a company that's just a stock ticker do to try and juice things up one day later? Pivot to AI. After selling its business for $39 million, the company now said, we're gonna buy powerful computer chips and rebrand ourselves as New Bird AI. This doesn't need to be a new company. This needs to be Allbirds, but rebranded. We are going to go all in on the AI industry and strike gold there. Now, I'm gonna ask you a couple questions. How many AI products do you think New Bird AI has or plans to have? That's right. 0. How many AI customers do you think they have? 0. How many AI employees do you think they have? 0. And how much experience in AI combined does anyone involved with the project have? That's 0. I drew 4 different zeros, by the way, for the slides. So they are going in with literally nothing but the name New Bird AI and have already, thanks to the magic of this frothy stock market, they have already gotten a loan, I don't know who the fuck gave them this, for $50 million, which is double the entire market cap of the company the day before this announcement. So they got a $50 million loan and their stock price jumped $150 million in value simply on the announcement that their name is New Bird AI. They have not announced anything else. No product, no plan, no strategy. Just that they have some money and they're gonna go into AI. It is a sign of the times. And it's really funny if you go back to this interview and his brands have to stand for something more than just making money and yada, yada, yada. And then you go to their new announcement where they say, again, to be clear, in this speech, he talks about how Allbirds is not just a public company. They're like I don't remember this. It's a specific distinction where it's like we're a public company, but we have a mission and we have to follow the mission. It's in our charter. We are gonna be pro-environmentalism, okay? It's a big part of our company. And then today, as part of the New Bird AI announcement, they put out a SEC filing that we have to get rid of that mission legally. We have to remove any reference to the company being operated for the environmental conservation public benefit. So obviously, listen, you don't need a Jim Cramer to tell you the vibe here. Developments like this are a sign that froth is in the market. It's something that should give investors some pause. I mean, the idea that you could do nothing but change your name and get hundreds of millions of dollars, some in debt, some in market cap, basically funneled your way off of nothing but a promise, no experience or anything, is a sign of mania in some way. And I think that coincides with what we're seeing here. I thought this tweet was pretty good. Let me move this up. This is the S&P 500's performance since the start of war in Iran. It went down, and as of today, it has spiked back up to new all-time highs. It has fully recovered to pre-Iran war levels. Now, what's interesting is the difference between this moment and this moment is that the Strait of Hormuz is still closed, oil is still over $100 a barrel, inflation just hit a 3-year high, and the market has decided collectively that none of that matters. Entirely because of AI hype. That is the stocks doing the moving. It is basically entirely saying, nah, all that's good. AI will carry us through, which means this is like the environment for something like changing your name to New Bird AI. Now, I put out a tweet because this is very funny to me. This is like classic up my alley type shit announcements. I love the history of bubbles and scams and schemes and frauds and financial manias, and it's H-Rock type shit, okay? So I put out a tweet and I said, it's different this time in response to the Allbirds announcement, where I posted 2 examples from history. The first is the .com era, where back in 1999, 1998, you could just add .com to your name and send stock prices on up an average of 74%. There's this great study, there's this great paper, a rose.com by any other name. This is a great paper because it came out during the bubble. And so the conclusion of the paper was, if you change your name to something .com related, it provides you with a large and permanent value increase. Because the crash hadn't happened yet. So they did a study. They're like, hey, wait a minute. There's a striking positive price reaction. You just change your name, your stock goes up, and it averages 74%. This is incredible. And they say permanent. And the only problem was this was published in December 2001. You flash forward a bit, and a second paper comes out, and it goes, actually, in 2003, it turns out that after the bubble crashed, not only did the dot-com companies perform worse, but other companies, even ones that were internet related, were taking .com out of their name because of the stink. The stink of the crash makes anything .com related terrible for stock performance. So we were like literally pretending not to be an internet company. And then I posted another example. I posted an example that we might remember from your lifetimes, okay? Very recently, in living memory, companies were adding the word blockchain to their name, or crypto, or things of that nature, and getting massive stock price share surges. NFTs, all that stuff was going into stock names, and they would just surge up on that in the post GameStop era. Specific great example, Long Island Iced Tea changed their name to Long Blockchain. To be clear, it is this company. They make this. That's all they've ever made. Long Island, they were a tea company. They changed their name to Long Blockchain, and the stock tripled at 200%. At no point did they change their strategy or what they made at all. In fact, though they initially floated the idea of maybe getting into mining some crypto, when they looked at the costs of that, they immediately said, no, we're not doing that. We're not buying Bitcoin mining equipment. So they never actually did anything crypto related, but they were named Long Blockchain through this whole period. And even if you go farther back, this is only in my lifetime, okay? This is the one I remember. If you go back to the 1920s, there was a massive mania in airline stocks. This is the earliest days of the airlines. Flight, anything to do with flight was awesome. Stock markets had to get into it. People were so interested in airline stocks that a railroad company changed its name to Seaboard Airlines. Investors lusted after shares of a company called Seaboard Airlines, only to find out it was a railroad company. This was what they looked like. Seaboard Airline Railroad. Their stock, tripled. They never got out of the railroad industry. So this has been going for a long time, and it's generally a sign of mania or bubble or whatever in the market. However, what I'll say is, if you look at the examples of when this stuff peaks, ideas like this, like Long Island Blockchain, Allbirds AI, pets.com, all these .coms, they're generally like a few years before. So theoretically, the AI bubble, and I do think it's a financial bubble, could have a year or two more to run here. This is like a small indicator, but it does feel like we're still in there doesn't seem to be any slowing down in the mania, bro. Now, again, I've always given a nuanced opinion here of I think AI is a transformative technology, but it's becoming more and more obvious to me that, especially with events like this, that it's a financial bubble, that people are just tossing money at it and it's pure hopium that any of it will get a return. Only a few winners will emerge from this. The large majority of them are just absolute money losers. And so I don't know if the market has quite yet realized that. And they're basically counting on AI to carry us through increased geopolitical strife, the world breaking down into different world order. All that stuff is kind of being shut your eyes and pray for AI. And I think this is one of the greatest signals of that so far. So basically what I'm saying, long story short, is invest all of your money in Allbirds and Newbird AI. This is going to the moon. Buy. Diamond hands. These shoes are gonna be AI powered. What do birds do? They go up. Think about it. All right, thanks for watching. It's a little update on what happened today. Stocks only go up, right? That's the fact.